Certainly glad you could join us today. That's just fantastic. We have instructors that travel all over the country. Spreading the joy of painting.
It went from just watching him for entertainment to suddenly thinking, okay, I can do this. I hope I give people the courage to try it, make a few mistakes.
We don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents.
Hi there, I'm Nic Hankins. Welcome back to the painting studio. So glad you could join me today for another fun, absolutely fun demonstration of the Bob Ross wet on wet technique. Let me tell you a little bit about what I've done to the canvas already. I have an 18 by 24 inch pre-stretched double prime canvas, and as you can plainly see, I've covered the top, 2/3 or so with a very thin, even coating of the liquid white. The bottom third has a thin, even coating of liquid black, and where the two meet, I've just taken a clean, dry 2-inch brush and kind of crisscrossed those together, so I have a nice little gray fog bank area right in the middle of the canvas. So with some nice rich darks at the bottom and a nice bright top, let's get started. I've got a 2-inch brush, palette full of oil paints. Let's start off with a little touch of Prussian blue, maybe. And I'll be right back. I'm going to sneak next door here and pick up a little touch of midnight black. So I've got Prussian blue and midnight black. Tap those into the brush and let's head up to the canvas. We'll just lay in a little bit of color up in our sky. Using some little crisscross strokes or figure of 8 type strokes, whatever you want to call them, however it helps you to remember the motion and how to do it. Just load that brush up and kind of bury the head of the brush in the canvas and don't pick it back up. Make little figures of 8 and then we'll apply the paint and kind of blend it a bit simultaneously. That's nice. We'll just allow that to kind of work its way on down. On down, on down, on down, wherever it wants to go. There we go, something like that. All right, let's pick up a 1-inch brush. Make sure it's nice and clean and dry. And we'll use a little titanium white here. Just picking up a little white on the old 1-inch brush, get some on both sides. Let's go up here and pick out some little cloud shapes maybe. Just take the corner of the brush and poke it into the canvas and I'll start making little circular strokes. Little circular strokes. Create some big fluffy clouds up here in the sky. Kind of allowing some of that open area, some of that light open area that already exists in the canvas to just kind of help me figure out where I need to place my clouds. Kind of take advantage of that, use some of that light that's already built into your sky. Kind of gives you a clue as to where your clouds might live. I think mine live right here. And I'm really just using, although I'm loading all of the brush, I'm really just using a corner, just digging one corner of the brush in there and sort of poking around, making little circular strokes, wind them up. We could even build a little shadow. Maybe these clouds are so big and so bold that we would have, let's take a little of that black and blue on that same brush. Same dirty brush. Let's put a little backside on these clouds. Maybe the sun's really strong from one side. And where those two meet in the middle, we'll just sort of blend them together a little bit. I can also soften my light sides. I'll soften the lighter side over here. Fluff them up a little bit. Very gently, just a couple of hairs and some air float across. Easy does it. Easy does it on clouds. Easy does it on those clouds. I think I want this cloud to come on down here. Come on down. There we go. Just let them fall right out of the sky. Clouds don't care. They'll go wherever they want. They make their own rules. I think you could stand to be a little darker there, honey. Let's make you a little darker. Yeah, I like that. I like that better. All right. Clean, dry brush. Let's just blend those and soften them. Gently, gently, gently. Over and across. There we go. I think I want my upper cloud to just hang out a little more there. Thought I was happy with it, and then I changed my mind. Is that allowed? Will you humor me? Will you humor me? Just change my mind midstream there. There we go. All right, I think I can live with that. Just didn't want them to look too similar. Sometimes if you wind up with a cloud that looks a little too much like another cloud, it's a good idea to change it a little bit. All right, I'm getting brushes stacked up here. Let's wash one. Don't want to get them piling up on me. Just wash this out in odorless paint thinner. Give it a little shake. We'll beat the devil out of it. Get it nice and dry. Put that one off to the side there. All right, let's grab a knife and let's think about it. I'm thinking of a couple of ranges of mountains in this painting. We'll have one in the background, one in the foreground. Maybe since our light's coming from the left on these clouds, we'll highlight those mountains on the left. Don't do that very often. It's kind of hard for a right-handed person to highlight their mountains on the left, but we'll see if we can make it work. These left-handed folks have been forced to highlight their mountains on the right for so long. We need to return the favor once in a while. So I'll mix up a little mountain color. I'm just mixing up Prussian blue, midnight black, little brown and crimson. Just mix all that together. And of this big pile of paint here, I'm going to take a portion of it and move it over to the side. Keep that portion dark. And to this mixture, I'm going to add some white and make it just a little lighter, a little less intense. That way this first mountain will look a little farther away than the second mountain. So we'll flatten that out very flat on the palette. Cut off a little roll of paint there. So let's go back in the distance. Let's have our first little mountain live somewhere back here. Little three-peaked mountain, three-tiered mountain. Maybe this comes on down, and there's another little peak right there. Scrape away all that excess paint. Wipe my knife off here. Let's grab that 2-inch brush. Just lay the brush right inside that mountain shape, and then we'll grab that paint and pull it and slide it down over that nice liquid white base. It allows our paint to slip around and mix and blend. That's just what we want. Just what we want to have happen. And I'll soften the bottom. Make it nice and misty. All right. I'll put some highlights on this old mountain. Let's see here. I'll take some titanium white, flatten it out very flat. Now, if you're a right-hander, highlighting your mountains on the left side, probably the easiest way, if you want to keep doing it with your right hand, is to take that knife and hold it with the butt end of the handle up in the air. Then we can touch and come on down this way. Just let it swing right on down. It's usually what I recommend to the left-handers if they're trying to highlight their mountain on the right. This seems to work best, that sort of a motion. Now, if you're a left-hander, I would recommend loading your knife on this side. And if I can lay the palette board down for just a moment, maybe I can kind of demonstrate that this idea works the same way, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. But you can hold your knife up at the top, get that little roll of paint started, and just let it float right on down the mountain. Works the same way. So either way, let's come on in. I'm going to finish it off more comfortably for me. I don't do a lot of painting with my non-dominant hand, but it is a nice way to kind of build your possibilities, build your skills. Give yourself a little challenge once in a while. A little bit on this peak back here too. Gentle, gentle, gentle. All right. You know, a great tip, while I have it on my mind, a great tip for folks that paint left-handed, I'm going to use a little Prussian blue and phthalo blue into this mixture and make a shadow, make a nice shadowed color, shadowed snow color. Great tip for left-handers when you watch Bob or watch anybody paint who's right-handed and you're trying to sort of translate something like this that maybe works better. If you can see it in your orientations, just watch Bob in a mirror. Set up your TV or whatever, your laptop, whatever you're watching on. Just set it up and watch him in a mirror. And then all of a sudden, Bob's left-handed, or I'm left-handed, or whoever you're following along with. It's a great way to learn. All right. Just allow that shadow to kind of fall down on this side of the mountain. Now hopefully I'll show you yet another way to approach this on the next range of mountains. Here I'm loading the opposite side of the knife and then just kind of following on down with my contours. You could even decide that maybe one of these slopes comes down and winds in front of the other. It's entirely up to you. Got a tight spot back here on this other one, so we'll load the small edge of the knife and just sneak it right in there. There we go. Give that one a little bit of a slope. Move that shadow color out of the way. I go back to my titanium white just a minute. Maybe we'll let this one kind of sneak on over here just a little. And come back down. like that. And he needs a little touch of shadow right behind that one. That's a little darker. That's got some of my mountain base mixture thrown in just to make it a touch darker. All right. Grab that 2-inch brush once more, and we'll just follow some of these little angles in our mountain. Tap, 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 tap. Make the base nice and soft and misty, and then we'll sweep it up. A little bit of the same on this side. Sweep it up. I just want that mountain to feel like it's floating in the mist and the clouds. Not really attached to anything just yet, but it will be. It will be. All right, now we can go into this super serious dark color, this original mountain base mixture, and let's build a big craggy mountain in front of that one. Just got all kinds of angles and peaks and etc. Maybe it comes up here like this and over and on down. I want this one to feel considerably closer to us than that one in the distance. Maybe, yeah, another little bit right there. Little peak sticking up there. Comes on down. Powerful big mountain, ominous almost. Mountains are beautiful, but they don't always look friendly. They look sort of ominous. Big old huge things sticking up in the air. Maybe there's another little peak right there. Yeah, we'll just have him come right on down, cut in front of that distant one. Something like that. Then scrape away all of that excess paint. All right. Back to my 2-inch brush. Once again, going to follow that same procedure that I did with the last one. Just going to grab that paint, land down here in this safe area, in the safe space, where you won't go through your outline or mess up that nice crisp edge. We don't want it to turn fuzzy. And then I'm going to wiggle it up to the line and pull that right on down. Follow the contours and the angles and the slopes that you laid in there with your knife. Then blend him on down. And this one too, I want to just soften until it feels like it's floating in the mist and the clouds. Bring it right on down into that sort of grayed out area where the liquid black and the liquid white meet and mix together. All right. Let's do a little highlighting on this closer range. So another way to approach this is just kind of reverse your sequencing. If you're used to highlighting on the right-hand side of the mountain, we'll turn that into your shadow side, and you switch the colors. So let me give you an example here. Let's take a little, well, maybe we'll start with our little mixture of shadow color here. I'll mix some mountain base mixture and white, and a little touch of Prussian blue. So we have a nice shadow color all ready to go. Cut off a little roll of that paint, and we'll just apply some of our shadows over on this side the way I would normally or customarily apply my highlights. Then we'll work all our beautiful highlights in as we would the shadows. All the while, though, no matter which side of the mountain I'm working on or in what color or value, I'm always using a very, very light touch on these mountains. Just enough to kind of get in there and get the job done. Canvas will take what it wants, give you back what's left. Never try to push down or force it to take the paint. It will automatically take what it wants off that knife. You don't have to do a thing but tow it along behind your hand. All right, let me get a little highlight on the opposite side. We'll take a little white now. So over on this side, maybe we'll think of this as as we normally would a shadow. And this is just going to be our nice bright highlight. So maybe it kind of creeps down that side, comes on down. That's a fine way to do it. That works well. You can even kind of play with the ridge a little bit and then come back this way. Change things around just like you would if you were highlighting from the right. Hopefully anyone out there who's left-handed and they've been struggling with mountains, maybe this will give you some new ideas, a new way to approach your mountain paintings. Maybe we have one that kind of sticks out here and then wraps around and comes on down. I don't know. We'll figure all that out as we go. Maybe it drifts over this way again and then back one more time. All right. I want to mix up just a slightly lighter shade of my shadow color. We'll come back and add a little accent here and there. Kind of take some of this light over the edge. In other words, we'll come back and fuss with it a little bit. I know we shouldn't, but maybe we can get away with playing around with our knife work just a bit, as long as we don't hang in there too long. Don't mash around and mess around with it too much. This little crevice needs some highlight right in there. Just a little peeking through that little area and a little bit right there. And as you know, highlights, like everything else, mountain highlights, anything you do in a painting, it always works a little better if you make noises. So here's to the noisemakers. Let's add a little distinctive shadow behind that little projection right there, that little outcropping, a little bit behind that one. Come down and hit this section here. There we go. Something like that. Something like that. All right. Clean up that knife and we'll create a little mist at the base of this mountain as well. Just tap, tap, tap. Follow the angles with your 2-inch brush. I just want that brush to feel like it's walking up the slope. We're taking a little hike up the mountain there. That's all. Gentle little touches though. And we'll sweep. Again, we're going to follow the angles in the mountain. Sweep up from this side. Take out those tap marks. All right. Now let's utilize some of this color that we have left over. I always wind up with a little color left over on my mountains. Now, even if you don't, it's okay. I'm just going to basically mix up a little lavender color, so you could start from scratch with white and a little Prussian blue and alizarin crimson. But if you've got some leftover mountain base mixture or shadow snow color, throw it in there. It won't hurt anything. I'm just going to add, like I said, some more Prussian blue and alizarin crimson to that mixture. Make it nice dark lavender. Maybe a little more of the color in with there. In with our white mixture. Yeah, that's getting closer. That's getting closer. It's about what I'm looking for. Nice kind of a medium lavender. And we'll find a number 6 fan brush, one that's clean. I think that one's clean. Hope it's clean, yeah. Load it full of that lavender color. Sharpen it up to a chiseled edge. Let's come back in here and just begin to create some distant little trees. Right back in this little pocket right here. This is getting pretty close to the start of the timber line, I guess. So far it looks like a pretty cold day, but we'll see. We'll decide between now and a few minutes from now whether we want this to be a winter scene or a spring scene or an autumn scene. I'm kind of thinking spring myself. That's probably my favorite time of the year. I tend to gravitate towards springtime paintings, but that's just me. Everybody's different. Probably because I was born in the spring. I don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. Take a 2-inch brush and just tap out the base of those trees, soften them into the mist. I'm hitting that rather violently. I don't know if violently is the right word, but I'm not being very gentle, we'll put it that way. Really giving her a bash with that 2-inch brush. We'll pull out a couple of these trees and maybe just give them a little more detail. Maybe we can actually see some individual looking little branches and stuff on these. Like this one, we'll make him a little taller. Maybe this one. Maybe she's especially tall. A little extra love on that one. Had the right amount of sunlight, good soil. Just adding a few of these really helps the top of that tree line be a little more interesting. Starting with just the corner of the brush, and then we'll work our way down, mash, 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 a little harder, a little stronger, bigger, deeper. Where else? Maybe right there. I don't know how much these are going to show in the end, but we'll put them in because it only takes a moment. If we cover them up, we cover them up. Oh well. They had a good run, right? Maybe we can make them shine. I'm just going to dissolve this end of the tree line into the mist down here, so we really don't know where that goes and don't much care right now. As long as it dissolves and goes away, that's all that matters. Okay, let me clean up a little spot on my palette here. Let's mix up, what should we use? Let's use a little black and blue, Prussian blue and black, a little Van Dyke brown, and some sap green. And of this dark mixture that I've made here, I'm going to treat this a little like the mountain base, okay? I'm going to take a portion of it, move it over to the side, and we'll lighten it. We can even take some of that distant tree color and mix in there with it. So it's a little darker than what I have, but it's a little lighter than that. And that's just what I want. Something in between. And we can just stick with that same old fan brush. In fact, let me show you a little trick. You can take a big old brush like your 1-inch brush and just jam it into that color. And we can come in here and actually just kind of jam in a bunch of dark color without a whole lot of thought, really. other than where we want some trees to live. And if you just get this dark, kind of add an overall shape, get something started. Why, you can come back, take your fan brush, then start pulling little treetops up and out of that dark mass of color that you just sort of block in with a big brush. It's a nice way to get to the destination a little more quickly. So now I can just come in here and pull some little treetops out of this. Might save a little time. Make life a little easier. If I can think of anything that makes life a little easier, I usually do it. This certainly does. Less work to do with that tiny little brush. Then we can just concentrate on those little intricate treetops. And the rest of the trees kind of already painted in there for us. This painting kind of hit my trifecta of favorite things. Clouds and mountains and pine trees or spruce trees. Evergreens. I could just paint and paint and paint landscapes like this and never get tired of them. I think they're so pretty. When I get going on a painting and really get involved with it, it's almost like I can hear the birds crying through the valley back there, and you could smell that pine smell, that evergreen smell, that fresh air. Hear the waterfalls falling and creeks tumbling over rocks, and makes you feel good. Kind of makes me want to go on a hike. Haven't done that in a while. I'm always busy teaching classes these days. But that's all right. That's fun too. That's fun too. Maybe I shouldn't say it's too much fun. That's how I make a living, so job isn't supposed to be too much fun, is it? Don't tell anybody. Don't tell on me. See, I'll just kind of glue those treetops now to that base color that we put in there. I'll just kind of glue them together, and it's taking care of a lot of our worries there. Speaking of little waterfalls, maybe let's have one. Let's have one back there. Let's grab a clean fan brush. A little touch of the liquid white. And I'll pull that through some titanium white. So I've got titanium white and liquid white, just mixing them together on the brush here. Maybe, yeah, let's take a little touch of phthalo blue in there with it also. Okay, so let's decide where maybe we can see a little stream just kind of meandering its way around back here. Just barely creeping out of the mountain. You can imagine all that water running off of that mountain during the big springtime melt, the big thaw. And maybe this comes over and just falls right down right there. Falls right over. Not exactly sure how big I want this waterfall to be, so we'll make a big one and make a little splash. Then we'll decide where we want to cut it off. Just kind of crunching my fan brush into the canvas down here to make a little splash. We'll decide where that stream goes later. At least we got it started for now. That's all I'm worried about. Now I can go back to my fan brush. Has that tree color, and we'll kind of cut off the source here. I just want to hide where that stream is coming from. As long as it tucks around behind something, then we're okay. Maybe a big tree grows up right there. All right, let me wipe that one out. Actually, let's wash that brush. Let's be safe and wash it. I'll wash that out in our thinner. Dry it off, and then we can go into our very dark color that we mixed up. That's our mountain mixture in sap green. Just all those dark colors that we threw together, and then we'll decide where maybe kind of put a little sharper top through some of these trees, maybe fake a couple in there. And we'll throw some darker ones in front, really push those back. Some bigger, taller, darker ones like right there. Yeah, this is going to come on down into the foreground. Big, powerful tree. There he comes. And it's going to run right into the black and disappear, and that's just what I wanted. Just what I had in mind. This looks like it could be somewhere in Canada or something, doesn't it? It's a place I've always wanted to visit. See some of those beautiful landscapes. I always wanted to take a train ride through Canada. Kind of a train aficionado. I used to work on old steam locomotives. And I've always liked trains. I think a train ride through Canada would just be a nice way to spend some time. Things always seem to look better through a train window or when you're traveling, when things are moving. Neat to see that landscape change. If everything works out just right here, I'm trying to save a little bit of this light area that lives between these two ranges of trees. That'll just kind of help separate them a bit more. Little skinny tops, and then I just start working my way down. I'm gonna need some more paint. Almost ran out. A little more blue and black and brown and crimson, and a little sap green. Mix all that together. We painted a big old mess of trees here. Goodness gracious. It's all right, though. That's all right. Just have to paint what you love. It will always show. If you do what you love, it will show. It's one reason I've never really liked taking orders for commissioned paintings. I always wanted to paint what I wanted to paint. I didn't want to paint what other people wanted me to paint. That may be selfish, but sometimes it's hard to make yourself paint something that you don't have much enthusiasm for. I'm going to cut off the other side of this waterfall here. Just kind of push it back into the distance. Let a little tree hang out right there. Just push him into the background. And he disappears. Maybe one leans. Yeah. I had to think about it a minute. Should we do it? Should we do it? Should we lean one over that much? Why not? Let's do it. Just hangs out right there. Kind of hide that corner of the waterfall a little bit. Now, I'm going to take my 2-inch brush before I get too far along here, and I'm going to take some of that light color, might even need a little more, just on the corner of the brush. And I'm going to extend this mist up and kind of let it drift into the base of the trees here. So it feels real expansive, like it's just kind of, you can almost hear the wind sort of just carry that up into the base of the pine trees. It's no wonder there's so many here, and they've grown so tall and so full. It's all that good water. They're constantly getting watered. Let's have a couple more trees on this side. Fill up this other little pocket here. It's good to paint a few that have a little lean in them. Some can be straight, but some need to be a little bit crooked. Bob's always talking about you don't want them to all turn into future telephone poles. Variety is good. Good to have that little change up in the angle once in a while. There they come. Just all kinds of them. Boy, this is great tree practice. If you've had any difficulty painting little trees, paint this painting. Give you a chance to paint lots and lots and lots and lots of them. There we go. So I want some of this mist to just kind of waft up and into this bunch of trees here too. So I'm just taking the top of that 2-inch brush and tap, 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 tapping. Just kind of let it intermingle into those branches. There we go. Something about like that. All right, let's take our knife and sharpen up a couple of the more obvious tops here. We'll have to drop in maybe a little indication of a tree trunk or 2 or 3. Maybe fake in a couple there as well. Let's see here. Let's take a little brown and dark sienna, Van Dyke brown and dark sienna, and a little white. Just mix those to a marbled appearance. We'll put a little indication of like I said, a little indication of a tree trunk, just a few of these. Maybe it shows, maybe it doesn't. In case it does, there it is. Just using a little roll of paint on the knife, and you really have to turn your knife to the side to get that to come off. If you go straight in with your roll of paint on your knife, it won't come off because it's living over on the side of your knife. All right, let's take that same dirty fan brush, just wipe it off a little bit. We'll dip it in some liquid white. Bring it on up to the palette. I'm going to load that with cad yellow. So that's my tree color, a little liquid white and some cad yellow. Now we can pull all these trees apart. They're just in there like a big old bunch. all one big thicket of pine trees, evergreens, and spruce trees, whatever they are. I try to cover all the names. I've been corrected before. I always called them pine trees, but I had a friend of mine in class one day, and he's kind of a tree expert. He said, those are spruce trees. So I said, I'm sorry. Been getting it wrong. It's a hard habit to get out of, though. I always called them pine trees, so it's just kind of what they are to me. Guess I should just call them happy little trees, and that'd be the end of it. Can't go wrong that way. There we go. That's beginning to pick them apart. Just save some of that dark. Don't cover it all up. Got to have that dark in there to show that light. Maybe add a little ochre and change the flavor. Maybe the soil's a little different over on this side of the stream. Just a little. Just a little. Some of these maybe don't even need much at all. Especially the ones we think are behind and behind others. And all that just disappears down into that misty area. Let's see, what should we do down here in the foreground? Maybe. Clean some of that dark tree color out of the way. May not be done with it just yet. We might have to have another tree or two. Can't get enough. Let's take a little Van Dyke brown. Maybe there's some rocks that live down here along the shoreline. Along the edge of this little creek or little stream or roaring river, whatever it is. I'd say it's actually not a little creek or a stream. It's a little too big for that. I'll just drop in a little Van Dyke brown at first. I know that doesn't show up very well right now, but we'll put some highlight on it, make it jump out of there. Another little batch of rocks on that side. We've got some highlight color going here. I'm going to make a little more. It's just white and dark sienna and Van Dyke brown mixed to a marbled appearance. Let's come in and just add a little bit of accent. Add a little bit of accent to these rocks. It's real dark down there, so it'd be kind of hard to imagine much light finds its way down here, but maybe a little bit does, and it just kind of plays across some of these surfaces. You wouldn't see a whole lot of action on those, I don't believe. In fact, let's mix up a little lavendery color here. A little Prussian blue and crimson. Just a tiny touch of white. Kind of throw a little bit of lavender in here once in a while just to indicate there's some reflected light flowing around in a couple of these cracks and crevices. I don't want those to be too descript, so we won't worry too much about it. Let's see, a little bit on the other side, maybe. Just a little touch on that one. There, we won't worry too much about that. All right. So let's go with, what should we use? Let's use a little 1-inch brush. Let's take our little 1-inch brush, just tap the top corner into some of that good old dark color, jam it full.
We'll decide where a few little bushes live. A few little deciduous things live down here at the base. Now, you won't be able to see this very well, at least not yet. I just want to plan out a couple of them. Some of these are going to live down in amongst the rocks. Maybe down to the riverbank. Just need a little bit of dark behind some of those that live in front of that fog. There we go. And then leaving a little bit of that color in the brush, I might wipe it out just a touch. And let's come back with liquid white. A little touch of liquid white. I'm just going to kind of jam it down into that cad yellow. Then we can pick out some little bright tops. Very gently, very delicately. Maybe mix in a little ochre once in a while, just change the flavor. There we go. Maybe touch a little bit of that phthalo blue. We can make a really deep, rich green. Yeah. The more you want something to feel like it's in shadow, probably the darker and the cooler it should be. So that little bit of blue will really help us out there. Just kind of living amongst the rocks and etc. there. Maybe a little ochre on this side. We decided they were a little ochre influenced on this side. Soil's a little different. Maybe the pH is a little different over there. Who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm going to go back to my fan brush. This was my waterfall fan brush. I'm just going to, it's still going. It's still working right along. I'm going to add a little touch of liquid white and a little touch of phthalo blue to my color, and I'm just wiping that through titanium white. And we'll kind of grab hold of this little stream or this little river, some of the rapids, and pull it on out. And we'll see this thing kind of wrap around some of this riverbank foliage and rocks and etc. Come swinging on out to the foreground. I'm just using a little zigzag type stroke. Just a little zigzag type stroke. And you can even play back and forth. You might decide that you want to have a little built up riverbank and another little shelf of land here. So here's a little more Van Dyke brown. Maybe Van Dyke brown and a little dark sienna mixed together. We'll just add a little extra piece of land or a little shelf of land coming down. It comes down and over. Go back to our highlight color, our two browns and a little white. And we'll just graze this very gently, very quietly. Not a whole lot of light down there. I'm going to take a little Van Dyke brown and some black, just some very, very dark color. Kind of put a little lip on that, or a little sudden drop off, just like it's sort of eroded right there. Quick drop down to the river. And we'll go back to our fan brush. Little touch of that phthalo blue, little touch of liquid white. And we'll wrap those rapids right around this little bit of land right there. Maybe you crunch your brush up, have a little splash coming up over the rocks there. And then coming on down. Just let your brush dance around, play, and have a good time. Little zigzaggy strokes. Little zigzaggy strokes. There's a little splash right there. Remember, it's kind of splashing up against that foliage and coming back out toward the river there. All right. Let's go back to the 2-inch brush just a minute and play. We got a minute or two left. Let's take some of that dark color once again. Maybe we'll extend our land right on out here. Maybe this is the little bit that we're standing on looking out at this scene. I'll block some dark in there. Go back to my little 1-inch brush that has my highlight colors on it, and I'll pop a little highlight on this. Catch a little touch of liquid white. In fact, I might even draw the brush through there in just one direction, kind of load it to a rounded corner. If I pick one side of that brush and just keep that coming towards me always as I load the brush, it will round one corner. Then I can take that up here and get a little brighter, more intense highlight like that. And as I highlight little bushes like this, anytime I'm working on little bits of deciduous foliage, I always just sort of think about it as a little clock face. Think about starting at like noon, and then I go over to 1, 2, 3. Then I come back and do 11, 10, 9, and it makes a nice little rounded bush shape rather than just kind of hitting at random. It's a good little system to use. Let's see. Scratch in a little stick and a twig here and there. And I said I was going to do it. One last tree. Bear with me. Gotta have my fix. Big painting just full of trees. Let's have a serious tree right there. This is just a little Van Dyke brown, dark sienna mixed together. I said we were closer, so this one's got to be bigger. It's right there. It's like 3 or 4 knife loads of paint already. It's a big tree. That's all right. As long as we make friends with him, it's all right. Let's see, let's take a little white sienna and maybe just a little touch bright red. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We'll put a little highlight on our tree. Just touch, 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 touch. Touch, 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 touch. No swiping or sweeping or swooping or stroking involved. I'm just taking that little roll of paint and touch, touch, touching it. Matter of fact, let me load the other side of the knife. So maybe you can see what I'm doing a little more clearly. If I just take that blade and set it on there, this leaves lots of texture. So it really feels like this tree's closer. That's what I want. Really feels like bark when it's dry. That's kind of neat. Take some of my lavender color. I mixed up way earlier. I'll put a little touch of that on the back side of the tree back here for a little touch of reflected light. Don't need much of that, but a little goes a long way. It's worth taking a minute to do it. There we go. All right, let's grab a little liner brush. Lots of paint thinner. Soften up some Van Dyke brown. There may be a little dark sienna in there too. Either way, it's fine. Let's come up here and kind of extend the top of that tree just a little bit. Pull a few little twiggies off of there. Just a few little things, don't have to get too worried about it. Grab my fan brush, and I want this one to stay kind of sparse. I don't want to lose much. So I'm going to take my big number 6 fan brush, some of that good old dark color. We'll come in and just here and there. Add a few little branches hanging around on this tree. Don't want him to get too cluttered up. Take the big brush and drop a little highlight here. I had 2 of them going, so we could cheat just a little bit. All right. We'll cover up his foot there. And I think we can call that painting finished. So thanks for joining me for a little waterfall adventure in a couple of mountains. I hope you'll join me again soon. Till next time, take care. Happy painting. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you painted along with me. Be sure to share your work with the hashtag PaintLikeBobRoss. And please subscribe for more Bob Ross related content.